When I'm talking to people about managing performance, one of the first things they always ask me is, should we be doing annual appraisal meetings? And in this video, I am going to tell you why no, I don't think that you should be doing annual appraisal meetings and what you should be doing instead. Hello, my name's Jenefer. I'm the founder of Silk Helix, and we help small businesses with all things HR, people management and employment law. So annual appraisals were historically very fashionable, something many corporates still do. Get out the big appraisal form with lots of check boxes. Let's work out what somebody's done for the year, what their targets are for the next year. There's a few reasons why these are problematic. One is they're generally annually, and we know that business changes much more rapidly than that, particularly for smaller businesses, and particularly in the current climate. The last few years, things have changed so quickly, so often, that an annual review just is not enough. We need something much more regular, much more ongoing. And people generally hate them. There's generally a very negative attitude around them. Sometimes they're linked to pay, which means that people don't really want to talk about challenges they're facing because that's going to impact their pay increase or their promotion chances. So there's all sorts of negativity around them as well. And anything that promotes negativity, it's not good for business. So what we don't want is HR processes that are just there because we should be ticking a box and it feels like the right thing to do. So what should we be doing? Absolutely, we should be managing performance. This is crucial. Your business depends on it. You need to know what you expect of people. You're paying out huge sums in wages. For many businesses, the wage bill is going to be the highest of the monthly bills. You need a return on that investment. If you're paying out a salary, you're paying it with a view to getting something in return that helps your business make money. The only way you can know whether you're getting that return on that investment is to monitor and manage performance. Now, it doesn't need to be draconian and with 15-page forms, but it does need to be something. So we need to be clearly setting out expectations of people and having a way of regularly reviewing those. So reviewing whether the expectations are still right, whether things need to change, reviewing how people are doing against those, reviewing how people are doing against targets, looking at where people can learn, develop, improve, and all of this should be being done on an ongoing basis. Also have conversations that say thank you to people, that recognise their value and their contribution to the organisation, as well as feeding back on performance and looking at where improvements can be. All of these things are really important for motivating people, keeping people on the right track, making sure the business is doing what it needs to be doing. But these conversations should be on a regular basis, so regular smaller conversations. They don't need huge forms, a one-page form at most where you can make a few notes so you've got a record, but it doesn't have to be long, detailed, and it is going to depend on the business. If people are in very much sales-facing roles and you've got very clear kind of targets and it's like, well, have you met them, haven't you, why not? You're going to have a much simpler form than you may do in other roles. But also that's going to depend on the role. So when we start saying, well, we need the same form for every role in the organisation, that can also become problematic because things vary massively in terms of the types of jobs that people do. So making sure that we're doing things that are relevant to people, that give them feedback, set their expectations, show them recognition, show they're valued, but also don't feel like this really heavy, big conversation, like appraisal time that people dread, but become, just a regular conversation where actually, I know I've got my manager's dedicated time. And we know that regular one-to-ones are really beneficial for this. They make people feel valued. They make people feel like they've got a slot in your diary. They've got a time which is for them. And if they've got challenges, they can raise them. They're not concerned that that's going to hit the next pay increase or hit their chances of promotion. They can raise them with a view to working towards a solution. When we've got that regular open communication, we're in a much better place than we are where we don't talk to somebody for a year and then we sit down for this big performance conversation following this big form that's taken up loads of time, and the manager's going, I've got 15 of these to do and I'm trying to cram them all into one day because I really don't want to do them, and then I've got to fill in the forms and I've got to keep HR happy. That is not what appraisals are there for. It's not why we should be doing them. So no, I don't think the annual appraisal is worthwhile. I don't even like the term appraising you. It's not, it has such negative connotations. I really don't like it, but it doesn't really matter what you call it. It's got to be something that is ongoing, that's regular, that allows the individual to speak and is not just a deliverance of, well, you've done this and you haven't done that kind of conversation. If you want to find out more about performance management and how to do it really well, how to have these conversations, our digital course on performance management, details are in the description below and on screen now. Sign up to that course. It will go through everything that you need for setting expectations, having the conversations, how we give feedback, how we show recognition, and how we go through a formal process if somebody really isn't performing. But generally, when we've got all these regular conversations and we're not leaving it to the end of the year to work out it's all gone wrong, actually things tend to work better and tend to be more consistent all the way along. So fundamentally, no, I don't think you need to be doing appraisals. I think they're HR for HR's sake, having big lengthy forms, but I do think you need to be having regular conversations with people, regular one-to-ones. You need to be setting expectations and monitoring performance and talking about it. That's the key thing. For more hints and tips on managing your people, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And don't forget our digital course on managing performance. Details are in the description.